Do you own a vacation rental property, maybe a boutique hotel, a villa, a single property? Then you understand how important it is for you to get direct bookings. In this video, I'm going to go through how you could create your own booking hotel on a budget. What do I mean by a budget? Maybe less than $3 per month. I will also show you how it is that you could actually add a little bit more and get some premium features as well. So don't go anywhere. My name is Joshua and I help hospitality providers to use the right tools online to get the best out of your business. Over the years, a lot of hospitality providers have really taken a hit during the lockdown. But if it's one thing is sure, it's change. And it's going to change at some point. So you want to be prepared to take advantage of that. And that means you want to be able to leverage different stream of income. And one of the best ways to be able to do that is to ensure that you have your own commission-free website that you could take bookings, tell the guests more about what you do or what makes you unique in the first place. And I want to go through that. So let's look at what we're going to be doing in this video. So how do we create a hotel website on a budget? The first thing, we're going to need a domain name and hosting. And probably this is the one thing that we have to pay for. You're not going to get a really good host for free. So I'm going to give you my recommendation for affordable hosting that's not going to compromise on performance. In addition to that, we want to look at getting a responsive hotel theme. If you're a beginner and you're doing this from scratch, it's a huge help to get a theme that's already designed for a hotel. So you just have to adjust it to make it feel like your brand without having to do it all from scratch. In addition to that, we want to get a dynamic booking engine that allows guests to help themselves and book their property without much interaction on your case, or you could actually book it in the back end as well. Once we've installed that, we could go ahead and configure the rooms and the appearance of the website to make sure it looks and feel like our hotel. Last but not least, I'm going to give you some recommendation for some free tools as well as paid ones that I use and recommend. Here is an example of the website that we're going to be creating from scratch. As you come to your splash screen, one of the first things you'll notice is that you're presented with a availability calendar that allows you to dynamically check for availability. So if you choose the date and select the checkout date, choose the amount of guests, choose the amount of adults that you're going to be booking for. And if they're children, choose the children as well. I'm going to leave mine at 0 and click on search. It will automatically take you to a search results page where it would recommend a property based on the amount of persons that's going to be booking. So you could click reserve and go straight to book this room, or you could scroll down and get more information. We have a beautiful gallery to the top. It has a nice description for the room. You could then review the amenities for the room. You see some additional details. You could book it right away, or you could see more details for this room. It also has some additional recommendations that you could review to see if these will fit your needs. Let's go back to the home page. As we scroll down on the page, we have a section where you could describe about the surroundings. We come down further. There's a nice section here for our amenities and facility details, like if you have a swimming pool, do you offer any additional service like a spa? Here is a link where it could take you to a listing of all your rooms. We're going to design that listing so that it is dynamic, and I'll show you how we could link this section to that page. We have a nice gallery below here. And we've also incorporated a nice slider. So if you have additional photos, you could include them here. There's a nice testimonial section. We have some contact details, and we have our footer in it and with our social icons and contact details. So everything I've shown you there, we could do with all free tools, with the exception of our hosting and domain name. So that's the first thing we're going to do. What's my recommended hosting and domain name provider that you could get on a budget? But let me share some consideration that you should be asking and answering before deciding on the host to use. First and foremost, choose a name that is easy to remember. And this is just a branding advice. Share the name with a few friends and see if they could spell it. If they can't spell the name, you may want to consider simplifying the name. Find a host that is easy to use and provide support. And this is especially if you're new to creating your own website and hosting it yourself. You want to make sure that some of these things you could be able to do yourself. And if not, you should be able to reach out support that they might be able to point you in the right direction. Always take note of the promotional rate versus the normal rate. Most providers will give you an introductory discount rate. Consider what is going to be after that discount period so that you understand if this works within your budget. And one of the last one is, do you need emails? You would want to get an email with your brand name included in it. Some hosts will include email at no additional cost, while some might have it as an add-on, or some may not offer the service at all. So you want to check those out. So here are my recommendations. So my first recommendation is Namehero. So if you go to the link, 𝗥𝗲𝗰𝐴𝐺.com/Namehero. And if you scroll down on the page, you'll notice Namehero starts from as low as $2.86, but as I mentioned, the normal rate is $8.95. But this is for one website, and it also includes email. While the Plus Cloud is about $5.18 per month, while the regular price is $12.95. This includes 7 websites. I usually recommend persons to start here in the event that you may want to add an additional website. It might be a restaurant that you want to have its own branding and its own domain. However, if you don't think you're going to need another website outside of your main website, then you could always go with the Starter Cloud. And here's my second recommendation. Let's go to joshuaostrott.com/Dreamhost. And let's click on hosting, and we're going to choose shared website hosting. If you scroll along on the page, we'll notice Dreamhost offers 2 plans, very simple. We have a starter plan with 1 website, which is $2.59, but the regular rate is $5.99. And we have a shared unlimited, which has unlimited website and emails. Notice for emails in the starter plan, there's an additional $1.67 per month. So here is great value. It's $3.95 is the introductory rate for 3 years, and the regular monthly rate is $10.99. I usually recommend persons to go with a longer period so that you can maximize the discounts. However, we're looking at a budget website, so if you're on a really tight budget, then start with 1 year. We'll also notice it includes a free domain name in this package. So let's get our domain name and hosting. We could scroll down, choose sign up now. Here we could decide, are we going to do it yearly or 3 years? As I said, I'm going to choose yearly. You could select your domain later or register a new domain. I'm going to register a new domain. I'm going to be looking for the domain Sun Staycation. And this is a made up name for the benefit of this hotel. So let's hope that it's available. Great, it's available. Let's click add, and again, it's free. I'm going to install my credit card information, but just before I do, let me go over some of the settings with you since I'm not going to be showing this part of the video. Place, you're going to enter all your email information, contact details, and so on. You could decide to sign up for Dreamhost emails. I'm going to leave mine on. You could pre-install WordPress. So this is very straightforward. And since we're going to be using WordPress, you could basically leave it there. I'm not going to use the WordPress website builder. I'm going to be using a separate builder. So I'm going to uncheck this. I'm not going to be using the Dreamhost protection. I'm going to show you how we could install a free protection as well. I'm not going to install the SEO toolkit. I'm going to show you a free tool that I would recommend. And since it comes with email, I'm going to use the basic email. If you want to get something more professional, you could always go with a Google Workspace. Once you've entered all your information, we would click submit order. As you can see, we're just going to be paying $35.40 for the year worth of domain hosting. So let me enter my information and we'll see in the control panel. So you would have noticed it took about 5 to 10 minutes to install the WordPress, and because we selected the option to install it automatically, once you'd enter the control panel, you'll notice it was installing. Just before we start creating our new website, let's ensure that the security is actually installed on our website. So we'll go to Manage My Websites. So to install our security, we will click on the 3 dots and scroll down to SSL Security. Here we'll notice we have the free SSL security that is offered. There is a paid version that is $15 a year, but for our purposes, the free version will work just fine. Let's choose select this certificate. Okay, so this is the not so fun part about creating a website. We gotta wait sometimes. So this will take about 15 minutes to configure. You can go get a drink, do something productive, and come back in 15 minutes and we'll continue the process. So while we're waiting on the SSL security to install, let's go and create an email to manage our hotel reservations. To do that, we could click on Mail and let's choose Manage Email. and we could choose create new email address. Let's create a new email. We'll call it reservations. Let's enter a mailbox name. We'll just call it Sun Staycation. You'll enter a password of your choice. Since this is our main email, I'll make this like 5 gigs, or that will be 5,000 megabytes. And we'll leave on the warning so we'll get an email notification. We're going to increase the number of read messages to 2,500 and read messages to 365 days. We will leave the option to remove those messages and save them in a folder called old messages. And I will leave the option to get an email once messages are removed. And then we can choose create address. So the max we could choose is 2,000. So we'll change it to 2,000. And let's choose create address. So it shows us our email client information. So if you want to set this up on Outlook or some other email client, you'd use this information to set it up on your computer locally. So you'll take a note of this information, and then once you're finished, you can just choose got it. So now that we've finished this process, let's check to make sure our SSL certificate has been installed, and then we could begin designing our hotel booking website. So I took a short break and then checked back. Weird enough, the website wasn't up at that time. It was a good opportunity for me to contact support and see how they responded. They did a very good job. They were able to check on the problem, and the website was up and functioning. So I just had to go into my email, click on the link, and then it takes me to the page where I'm going to reset my password. So we could catch up right there. I'm going to go and change my password, and then we're going to log in to the WordPress dashboard. So once I click the link in my email, it takes me to the page where I can now change my password. I'm going to enter a new password, and then I'll choose save password. And then let's click on login. I'm going to enter my email and my password. I'm going to choose to remember me and choose login. I'm going to save my password. The first thing I try to do is to clean up my dashboard. So I'm going to choose dismiss. I'll click the screen options button, and I'm just going to hide these. And then I'll collapse this. Let's go through and just clean up the website. We're going to go to post, choose all posts. Let's hover our mouse over the first post, and we can choose trash, and we could empty our trash. Then let's go to pages. We're going to delete these for now. And let's choose move to trash, and we could empty our trash. Then let's go to settings, and we're going to choose general. Let's enter the site title as the name of our website. In your case, you would probably name it the name of your hotel or property. I'm going to name it Sun Staycation. If you have a tagline for your property, you could enter it here. I'm going to leave mine blank. We'll notice that it's already have the HTTPS, so it has the security installed, so that persons coming to your website will feel a sense of confidence that your website is secure. I'm going to scroll down. I'll choose my time zone. In my case, I'll choose my city. You could choose your date format or your time format. I'll leave mine as is, and then I'll choose save changes. Then I'm going to go to permalinks, and I'm going to choose the format as post name and click save changes. Let's review our plugins. So here are some default plugins that come with a website. I'm going to be removing most of these. I'm going to remove those I'm not going to be using, and I'm going to give you those that I recommend. I'll choose delete and apply. I'll click OK. So now that we've cleaned up our WordPress backend, let's look at the next steps. So we've already gotten our domain and hosting. We now need to look at getting a responsive WordPress theme. So things we should be considering once we're choosing a theme. We want to look at what features are available in our free version. And remember, we're using a budget website here, so we're not looking to pay for a theme at this stage. Can I customize it easily? Will it work with my booking engine that I'm going to be using for my website? So let's look at my recommendation that should get you started with a free theme. So my first recommendation would be Cadence. Cadence is one of those fast-growing themes. It's very lightweight. I like this real estate theme that they have here. I've used this previously to create a booking website. I'm going to put a link in the description to that website. Another option that's available is the WordPress theme. WordPress has a new free theme, it's the Albatross theme. I think this is also a very good option. It comes fully integrated with Elementor so that you could be able to build out this theme. The third option I'll share with you is the Astra themes. Astra has been around a long time, and they have hundreds of themes, especially geared towards hospitality. So here are a few themes that are related to hospitality, some that are dealing with restaurants, homestay, a heritage hotel, and a steakhouse. Those that have the premium icon is for the paid theme, but we're looking for a free theme. The one that I'm going to be using today is this travel and tourism theme. So let's look at how we could install this theme and customize it for our website. So once you're in the backend, let's go to Appearance and Themes. It pre-installs some of the popular themes for us. We're going to be using the Astra theme, so we're just going to activate it. We're also going to install the starter templates, so let's just choose Get Started, and then we're going to choose Elementor. But just before we install the starter templates, I want to just show you, in the event you went to Themes and Astra was not pre-installed, you would have chosen Add New, and you could have typed it in as Astra, and you would have seen it there and you could have installed it. But let's go back to installing our starter template. So let's choose Starter Templates, and you could customize these starter templates by those that are free. So you could choose Free and come to the search area. We could type Hotel, and we're looking for the Travel and Tourism template. I've previously used this Hotel and B&B template. Let's come back up to Travel and Tourism. Let's click on it. It shows you the 4 different pages that it will install. So I want to install the complete website. You can choose just a particular page that you may want to install. I'm going to install the complete website. Come down to the bottom and we'll choose Import Complete Site. You'll enter the information, choose Next, enter your name and email address, or you could skip this option. And we can click View Site to get a preview of what it would look like. So here we are. We already have a great starter template installed. This is already looking excellent. So we have all the major sections that we would want for our hotel website. We just now need to customize it to make it our own. So now that we've installed our theme, let's look at the next step. We want to now go and install a dynamic booking engine. What are things to consider? We need to determine how much rental units do I need to manage. This might help you identify if a free booking template might work for you, or if you're going to need certain premium features. And that leads me to the next consideration. Do you require an automatic sync with your online travel agency? Do you have several properties that you're managing on Airbnb or Booking.com or Expedia, and you need it to link with your website? If that's the case, you might want to consider a paid option. But if it's just a few properties and it's not too much work for you to manage both the online properties and your website and manually block them off depending on where you get your booking, then this may work for you in the short term. And you should consider what payment methods are required. If you're going to need certain payment gateways, that might determine if a free version of these plugins will work for you. I did a full video on my top 3 recommended booking engine. I will also link that, but for this example, we're going to be using a free version. Today, we're going to be looking at using the WordPress hotel booking plugin, the light version. This is a free version. It comes packed with a lot of features right within the free version, but there are some things that are missing. In the free version, we have 3 methods of which we could book. We have the option where the admin could take the booking manually. The customer could book via an email, and they can book upon payment, but the payment gateway that comes configured is PayPal. So if you want to use other payment methods, let's say taking a credit card directly on the website or using Stripe or some local payment gateway, you will need to get the paid version and the hotel booking WooCommerce add-on. So one of the main features that comes in the Pro version is automatic booking and synchronizing with your online travel agency. So again, if this is something that's important to you, you may want to consider getting the paid version. The paid version of the WordPress hotel booking plugin starts at $89. But as I said, we're going to be using the free version for this example. So we could click download. Let's go back to our website. We can close this for now. Let's go to plugins. Let's choose add new, and let's choose upload plugin. And let's drag this into the window and click install now. And then let's activate the plugin. One of the options you're going to be given is to install the additional pages that comes default with the plugin. Let's choose install pages. If we go to pages, we'll see those additional pages, which includes accommodations, the booking confirmation, the search availability, and the search results. Once you activate the booking engine, you'll now see 2 menus on the left, the accommodation menu and the bookings menu. We're going to use these 2 menus for us to create our accommodations. If we look at our example and I go to rooms, these are the 4 examples that we want to create. You may have more or less, and the process will be the same. So let's start customizing our accommodations. The first thing we want to do is create our seasons. To do that, we'll go to Accommodation and you'll scroll down and you're looking for seasons. Let's close this. Your seasons will allow you to create different rates based on different times of the year. So if you have higher rates during certain busy periods, you could then create those seasons to reflect that. So this is a very automatic process. So it wouldn't matter when persons book during the year, you would already have the relevant rates for that period. In my example, I'm going to keep it simple and just choose one season. So I'm going to click Add New and I'll give it a name. So this season is just for 2021. Something to note, if you take extended bookings, let's say a year, 2 years in advance, then you'd want to create the season in advance for that period. If someone tries to book for that period that they don't have a season, it will indicate they don't have a booking. It will indicate they don't have a property for that date. So it's important that you think ahead and create your seasons even in advance. So choose your start date. I'm going to choose today's date and then choose your end date. In my case, I'm going to choose the end of 2021. Select the days that applies. Here's another way in how you could create a different season to manage different days of the week. For example, let's say you wanted to have an automatic rate for Monday to Friday bookings and you wanted to have a different rate for Sunday and Saturday. Here's where you could create a season for Monday to Friday and then create a separate season for Sunday and Monday and then choose relevant rates for those two seasons. So just another way in how you could use this. Let's choose Publish. Now once you've created your seasons, the next thing you'd want to go and do is create your services. Let's come back to Accommodations and we'll scroll down to Services. Now your services could be free or it could be paid services. For example, let's say you have a babysitting service that is free to your guests. You could then choose Add New, give it a name, enter a description for the service. If there's a price for this service, you'll enter it here. You could also determine how often should this be charged. Should this be charged once per day or guest choice? In my case, I'm going to choose guest choice. So I'm going to leave it empty so it could be unlimited. If they want to book a babysitting different nights of this stay, they can then simply select it. On the right, you could choose a featured image to represent this service. I'm going to click Set Featured Image. I'm just going to search for an image to represent this and then add it. I'm just going to choose this one and I'm going to choose Save and Insert. I'll scroll up and choose Publish. I'm just going to add 2 more services quickly. In this case, I'm going to give this airport transit service a cost. Similarly, I'm going to let the guests choose how often they want to use this service and then set a featured image. Once you've done so, you could scroll up and choose Publish. I'm going to enter one last service. I'm going to add a cost for this service as well, and I'll let the guests choose. For the charge, it could be per accommodation or per guest. In this case, I'm going to choose per guest, and then I'm going to set a featured image. So we've set an image for this massage service. I can scroll up and choose Publish. You could add more services based on what you're offering at your hotel or property. I'm going to leave it at these 3. The next thing we're going to do is add some amenities. So in the Accommodation tab, we'll come down to Amenities. So you'll give it a name. The slug will be the name without any spaces. In our case, we already have Wi-Fi. Give it a description if necessary. I'm not going to use one. I'm going to leave it blank and just choose Add New Amenity. I'm going to go ahead and add a few more. You could do the same. So once you're finished adding your amenities, we can now go ahead and add our accommodation type. Let's go to Accommodation Type. So below the accommodation menu, we'll choose Add Accommodation Type. This represents the different accommodation types you have in your hotel. So for example, let's assume you have single rooms and you have 5 of those single rooms. You will create one accommodation type for single room and then indicate you have 5 different single rooms. But in this case, you're only creating one accommodation type. And that could be the same for a villa, a private apartment, or any of those things. We're creating the description for each of those as they are listed. Let's assume you're listing this on Airbnb. you will link each of the individual rooms to those Airbnb properties. So we're going to create 4 rooms for the example we're using for this website. The first one is a single room. So you'll enter the name. Then you're going to choose your description. So this is normally a long description explaining all the different features of the room. I'm going to copy mine from the website I've already created. I'm going to click on it to get the details, and I'm going to copy the description. You will normally take a smaller section of your description and paste it in the excerpt. In my case, it's a very short description, so I'm going to copy it in the excerpt. You'll scroll down. Here's where you're going to indicate how much actual rooms do you have of this accommodation type. In my case, I'm just going to say I have 1. You'll now select your capacity with how many adults and how many children. Now you could have different combinations of these, but indicate what's the maximum capacity that you will be able to accommodate in this room. If you leave it blank, it will take into account the number of adults and children and use that as your maximum capacity. In this case, I'm going to leave it as 1. You'll indicate the size of your room, and if there's a particular view for your room, you could indicate it here. I'm going to choose a swimming pool view. You will then indicate your bed type. You could enter all of them below settings, or you could just enter it manually here. I'm going to choose settings and enter it in the settings section. I'm just going to open this in a new tab, and I'm going to scroll down to the section here to add the different bed types. I'm going to do that now. With my different bed types added, I'm going to scroll down and choose Save Changes. I'm going to go back to my accommodation type. I'm going to just save this as a draft and then scroll back down, and I should now see a drop down arrow for me to select the different bed types. I'm just going to choose a twin bed for this example. To the bottom, I could select the available services that's associated with this accommodation type. I'm going to choose all 3 of them. And then on the right, I could start by choosing the amenities that's associated with this property. For simplicity, I'm just going to choose all the amenities, and I'll just assume that all of them applies. And I'm going to scroll down, and now I'm going to select a gallery and my featured image. Let's choose Add Gallery. Just a recommendation here. Try to select a photo that's going to best represent your property as the first image, because that's the one that's going to be highlighted at the top of the property in the gallery. So I'm going to choose this one here. So then I'm going to select a few other gallery images. And then I'm going to select my featured image. I'm going to select this one as a representation of the room and choose Set Featured Image. Once I've done that, I can now scroll up and choose Publish. Using the same process, I'm going to go ahead and add 3 other accommodation types. So I've completed adding my 4 accommodation type. You could have added accommodation categories or tags just to better differentiate between your accommodations, but it's not necessary in this case. So once you've done so, the next thing we want to do is enter our rates. So we're going to come to accommodation menu, and we're going to come down to rates. We're going to then choose Add New. Here you're going to give your rate a name that's going to be associated with your room or accommodation type. So I'm going to start with my first room, which is the single room. Now I'm giving it this name because I'm going to have a separate rate for the room and breakfast. So you want to think ahead. If you're going to have one standard rate, then you could just give it the name of the room. You can call it standard rate. In some cases, you might want to have a more favorable rate that is non-refundable, and maybe a rate that is a little higher that will be refundable. So you could also use rate in that way as well. But in my case, I'm just going to say single room only. I'll choose single room as the accommodation type, and then I'll choose create rate. Then on this page is where I'm going to select the season that's associated with that rate. So if I wanted to bill a season for next year, I could have done that already and then choose different prices if I wanted to increase the rate based on that season. But in my case, I only have one season, so I'm going to select it and then I'm going to choose the rate for it. In my case, I'm going to choose $100. Now, if you want to add multiple rate or flexible rates based on the amount of days the person booked, or a variation based on the combination of guests in the room, then we will need to have the pro version to do so. In the free version, we're only able to add the standard rate. You'll notice for me to add the additional flexible rate, we'll need to have the premium version. So I'm going to leave this off. This will work just fine for now, and I'm going to choose update rate. So then I'm going to choose add new, and this time I'm going to choose the single room with breakfast. I'll select the accommodation type single room, and I'll choose create rule. I'll do the same in adding the season, and then I'm going to choose the rate. That's going to be slightly higher since it includes breakfast. If you want to add a description about the rate that will go on the checkout page, you could have added here. I'm going to leave mine blank for now and choose update rate. Using the same example, I'm going to go ahead and add my additional rates. I've completed adding all my rates, so I have 2 rates for each accommodation type, one with the room only and one with breakfast. Just before we move on, if you're getting value out of this video, now is a good time for you to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so when I post more videos like these, you'll be notified. If you had additional accommodations based on the accommodation type that you didn't select it in the beginning, you can generate additional accommodations for that type by coming to accommodation and choose generate accommodations. So here you could specify how much additional accommodations you want for that property. So for example, if I had more than one single room, because I already have one created, I could have selected it. And let's say I had 2 additional properties and I choose generate. When I come to accommodations, you'll notice in addition to the single room 1, it went ahead and generated these 2 additional single rooms. However, I just want to keep mine as 1 room per accommodation type. So I'm going to take out these 2 that I created. So now that we've created all of our rates, let's go and make sure that we have everything configured the way we want it to work. We're going to go to accommodations and we're going to choose settings. So here's where we select the default search result page, and this would have been generated for us and it's selected by default. Same thing for your checkout page, which will be the booking confirmation page that was generated. We don't have a terms and condition page. We have 3 ways in how you could set your confirmation. It could be either by customer email. So in that case, once the customer confirmed their email, the booking will be confirmed. You could also choose to have it done by admin only, so the person will create the booking and then you will need to approve it in the back end. And lastly, you could do it by confirmation upon payment. Once the person select the payment type and choose it, it will confirm the booking. You got to be careful with this though. In the event the person decides to use, let's say, cash on arrival, or let's say direct bank transfer, and then they didn't do the direct bank transfer, the booking will be confirmed even if the customer decides to cancel sometime just before they arrive. So you want to be mindful of that. I would normally select this if I'm using credit card as the payment option, or PayPal, something that's going to be some sort of online booking. In that case, I will accept it as a confirmed booking. So you'd want to consider that based on your payment method you're using. As we scroll down, you could set things like your approval time between which the person selects it. As it relates to default country on checkout, if you normally get bookings from specific countries, here's a good place where you could help someone by choosing your default country. But if it's international and you expect booking from all around the world, then just leave it unselected. You also have the option of giving the customer the option to cancel the booking from their email. I normally leave this unchecked so the person will contact me for canceling the email so that I could share pertinent information such as if there's a cancellation fee that a person might have missed or so on. You could then communicate that information ahead of time. You then want to choose your maximum adults or children that you want to set when someone is searching in the search form. And here's where you may want to choose it based on the maximum occupancy that someone will typically want to book. Even if it's a large group, you could choose that option here. In my case, since it's a small property, I might want to use something like about 15 if that's the typical capacity of my entire property. You could then choose the amount of children as well to correspond with the amount of adults. If you want to specify a specific age for which you will consider this person being a child, then you will use this box here. So let's say, for example, anyone below 12 you may want to consider as a child, then you'll enter it there. Now, if your property don't necessarily treat children at a different rate, then you could actually disable the option here by simply saying disable children option for the website. In this case, it will just list it as guest. As you scroll down, you could choose your currency. If you're going to be using a different currency based on where you're located, here is where you want to select that. You have options of changing your checkout time. So in my case, I may want to use a checkout time of 11 a.m. and a check-in time of 3 p.m. If we scroll down, we had a section where you enter your different bed types. One feature I would recommend that you turn on is to enable the use of coupons. So here you could create special promotions and send to return customers with discounts that they could now redeem and put a particular time to it, so they have to action it by a particular time. You have some styling options available to you here where you could choose certain default colors for your booking. I'm going to leave mine as default so that the theme will deal with that appearance. And then we have the calendar synchronization here, but this option is only available with the premium version. So these are some of the basic settings I would want to ensure that is configured, and then I'll choose Save Changes. Some of the other tabs include the admin emails. So these are the emails that will be sent to you, such as confirming a new booking and approved booking emails and so on. Most of these are the default information that you would need. You can tweak these as you need to, but most of the default will work fine. Same thing for customer emails. Here you have some of the default customer emails that will be sent after the customer either book an appointment or if it is canceled or things like that. This gives you an idea of what the customer will get. Under email settings is where you will set things like your admin email and things, let's say, like your logo. So you would look for your logo URL and paste it in this box. Once I'm updating the front end with my logo and so on, I will come back and add that. So below is where you could choose your color and your styling for your website. I will also do this later. So for now, I'll just click Save. And finally, I'm going to choose the payment gateways. Just something to note, for the payment methods to appear on the checkout page, we will want to set the option as confirmation upon payment. But before we do so, let's turn on some of the payment gateways we're going to be using. Here's where we could set how we want the customer to pay. Do we want to pay the full amount or do you want them to pay a deposit? So in my case, I'm going to choose a deposit and I'm going to say I'm going to require a 50% deposit at least 4 weeks before you arrive. And I can save this. I also want to turn on pay on arrival. So I'm going to enable it. You could change the description as necessary and choose Save Changes. I'm going to turn on direct bank transfer. I'll enable it and choose Save Changes. And I'm going to also turn on PayPal. I'm going to enable it. You can enter your business email here, but I'm just going to choose the sandbox option and choose Save Changes. To ensure that this is displayed on the outbox, I'm going to go back to General and I'm going to change the confirmation mode from by customer via email to confirmation upon payment. I'm going to scroll down and choose Save Changes. We're going to come back to the settings to complete a few of the appearance customization, but let's start looking at our front end and customize how our website is looking. I'm going to visit the front end of the website. So currently this is how our website is looking. It doesn't necessarily have any of our brand colors or anything like that. And it just has a default name, so it's not using our logo or so forth. So we want to look at how we could customize our website. The first thing we want to do is to go to the customize setting. We can do that by either using the shortcut right here, which says customize, or in the back end, we can go to appearance and then customize. So here's where we're going to customize things like the color, the font style we're using, the logo, and so on. So I'm taking an assumption that you've already considered the branding for your property. For whatever reason, if you haven't done so already, here are some tools that I've used to help me uniquely display the website in a way that suits my brand. One of the first things I normally try to do is to understand some of the font style that might work well for my website. An example website I might go to is fontpair.co. So here's where it gives you recommendations for different font style that you can use along with the different color schemes that might work well. So if you don't have a particular font style and branding yet, here's a good place to come to get inspiration. Here is one example of a font style that I thought looked very nice. So it's both the heading font and the body font is the same. And then it had a nice example color palette that I could use. And this is supported by Coolors. So it's COOLORS. So you could actually view this website and see the different color palette. So this is the color palette I'm going to be using for my website. In addition to your color palette, you'd want to make sure you already have your logo. It's a huge part of your branding. Something I'd normally recommend that you work with a professional, someone that could represent your brand well. One of the tools I've used to create a free logo is a logo created by Canva. So hopefully you've already done so. Let's go ahead and customize our website with our colors, logo, and fonts. I'm going to go to the global menu and I'm going to choose typography. And here's where I'm going to be choosing my font. And as per the example in font pair, I'm probably going to mess up that pronunciation. I think that's Nonito. So I'm going to look for it. And you will notice the font slightly adjusted. Let's go and select it for our heading font as well. There you could almost start seeing instantly that our title changed and our menus to the top changed as well. Let's go back and then we're going to choose our colors. We're going to select our theme color. So we're going to come to your color palette, copy your theme color, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to choose the same thing for my link hover color and also for my heading color. So we'll notice that our headings changed there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use my accent color, which is this one here, for the link color. So if I scroll down to the bottom, I'll notice that changing there. And if I hover my mouse over, you'll notice it changes slightly to those hover color. So let's scroll back up and we can go back and we're going to choose our buttons. And let's do the same thing. We're going to choose the background color. So I'm going to select my theme color and I'm going to choose that for the background color for the button. So we'll notice that change already. And then I'm going to choose the border to be the same. And then my accent color, I'm going to select it as the hover color. So when I hover my mouse over the button, you'll notice it changes to my accent color. Let's go back. Then I'm going to go into my header builder. Currently, I'm using a transparent header. So to modify this, I'm going to go to customize transparent header and I'm going to select my logo. I'm going to choose upload and go and upload my logo. I'm going to select it and choose image. And then I will adjust my size. I'm going to use it at about 250 pixels. And I'll need to take off this title here. So I'm going to leave that as is. And I'm going to also make sure that it is mobile responsive. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to come to site identity and logo. And then I'm going to turn off the site title. So this is a bit buggy because it actually turned off the logo as well. So let's just go back to customize transparent header and disable that and re-enable it again. All right, there you go. We have it. Let's just publish this. Let's go back and we're going to go to site identity and logo again. Let's scroll down and we're going to choose our site icon. So that's the icon that's displayed in the name in the title bar. So let's select site icon. Usually this would be a square icon for your logo, and I'm going to upload mine and I'm going to select it. So we have that displayed there. Let me just choose publish again. While we're here, we want to check to make sure that this is mobile responsive and how the logo will look on a tablet or mobile. So when I click tablet, we'll see we have the logo and the title there as well. So I'm going to turn off the title and the logo goes again. Let's just select the title here as well, just to make sure that there is a main logo selected for the website as well. I'm going to skip the cropping and let's just make sure that on the transparent header that it's also there. But I'm going to adjust this here as well to 250. And let's see how this looks on mobile. Let's see how this looks on a mobile device. Let's turn off the title and let's adjust the logo size. Let's choose, in this case, 150 on mobile. So that's looking good. The menu looks good as well. We could also adjust some of our branding on the menu for the mobile. To edit that, we could choose the off canvas menu. Let's just click the icon where it says off canvas. And we could choose how we want the header type to function. Right now it's a drop down. When you click on it, you'll notice it drops down. You could choose full screen, so it takes up the entire screen, or it could be flyout, which is flyout like that. I'm going to leave it as drop down. And if I go to design, you can adjust the background menu as you like. but I'm going to leave that as is. If we choose off canvas menu, we'll now see this is going to modify the actual menu there. If we choose design, let's adjust the link color to our brand color. And for the normal color, I'm going to select our main brand and I'll just publish that. Let's go back to the desktop version. Let's just make sure our logo size still works and we could choose 250. The last thing we'll modify is our menu here. So we have the primary menu button here. You could decide how you want to adjust this. You could actually drag this to the middle and you see it's slightly adjusted to the middle of the window. But since we have a transparent menu, let's go back and we're going to choose customize transparent header and we can choose design. So here we have the menu link and we could choose the hover active color to our main brand color. So let's just select it and paste it. So when you hover your mouse, you'll notice our hover color changes. We can do the same for this reservation button here. We can just select to edit it, come to design, and instead of changing the background color, I'm just going to change the border color and the text color. All right, and I will work with that. Let's publish it. For right now, this is not linked to our reservation page. Once we identify the page that we want to link our reservation to, we'll come back and set that link. Let's go back and then let's go back. Now that we've completed the header, let's just do the footer one time. So here in the footer section is where we could change things like the name, the menu, or contact details and so forth. So to change this section, you will just click on the icon or you could click on the widget below. You could give it the name. So in my case, I'm going to name it Sun Staycation. And I'm going to change that description below there. And you'll notice the text change. Same thing for the contact details on the right. You can simply enter your information below here. And here you have your social icons. You could either click on the social icons here and select the social icons that you want to use. You could either remove those that you don't want or add any additional. I will leave these as is. To the bottom, we have your copyright information. Just select copyright and I will just remove the powered by section. All right, that looks good as it is. I'm going to click publish. You'd want to make sure that these menus are linking to specific pages on your website. If you don't have that particular menu, then you could remove it. But I'm going to leave it there for now, but it's just as an example for you. What we want to do now is customize our actual page. To do that, we'll need to go to the front end. Let's close that. We can go to pages and we see the main home page. We could hover a mouse over it and choose edit with Elementor. I'm going to open this in a new window. So your Elementor page, it has the elements on the left of the page and you have your editable area on your right. It's usually made up of your main section. Within your section, you would have columns and then elements within the columns and then content within the columns. To edit any of the content, just click in the box and you could either edit it on the left or directly within the window. So for example, I could just highlight that and let's say choose in the sun. If you have any particular description that you want to have for your property, you could enter it there. I'm going to copy some content and paste it below there. This button is not grabbing my font style. Now here's where I could go and customize this using my branding font. So I can go to styles and I see we have the text color and the background color. I'm going to choose the background color and I notice that these are the default global colors. I want to set my global color so I don't always have to go back getting the specific hex code for it. So I'm going to click this icon here that says manage colors. I'm going to go get my main brand color and where it has primary color, I'm going to replace it. And for accent color, I'm going to go get my secondary color and replace it. I'm going to update it and then I can choose back to editor or just close the window. Now with those colors updated, I can now select my custom color and let's just change that color to white. And I could also change the hover color to my accent color. And I'm going to change the color there to white as well. All right, so when I hover it, I'm getting that similar effect. The same thing to change the background photo. You could just click on the middle handle, come to styles on the left, and you'll see the image here. You could select the image, choose a similar image that has a similar resolution. So you'll notice the resolution here is 1920 by 1080. Choose something similar so that it could take up the entire top of the window. I'm going to choose this one here, just as an example so that you could see how simple it is to change your image. You have a background overlay so that you could ensure that you're seeing your text properly. So you could change that color, or you could increase or decrease the opacity. If you take it all the way down, it might be hard to read the text because it's in white. If you take it all the way up, you may not see the text very clearly. So you try to get that right number so it gives enough contrast with the text and the photo in the background. The same way as you scroll down on your page, you could then change the different information. Very simple. Click on the handle, change the image, make sure it's a similar resolution or a similar size for what you want, and change your text and so forth. So this is not an in-depth Elementor tutorial. However, it's just giving you an idea how simple it is to change your icon. So things like buttons and so forth. So for example, you have your amenities and facilities, and you may want to view those. So right now we have a different page for our amenities. So you could actually click on the button, come to the link section, and type the name of the page. As you start to type, it will bring up the different examples. So we have a page for amenities. So we could select it and update it. So now when we click on this button, it will take us to the amenities page. Similarly, we have an example for our room. We could replace this section to represent each of the different bookings that we have, or we could link that to the rooms that we have listed there. Another example of how we could use the features in Elementor. For example, let's say I wanted to replace this particular image with some sort of slider that's showing all the different images or so on. So for example, I could click on the handle here on the left of the window, and I could scroll down, or I could simply type in image. And here we have an image carousel, so I could click on it and drag it into the window. And then from here, I could select the different images. So I could select the one that was already in the window, and I'm just going to choose another example right beside it. And I'm going to choose create new gallery and choose insert gallery. So I'm going to delete this image here, and I'm going to select this as large. And for the slideshow, I'm just going to choose 1 so that it takes up the entire window space, but then you still have this gallery section that's going to be sliding after a few seconds. You could change the additional settings here to determine how fast you want that to slide. If you decrease the time, it will slide faster. Okay, so it's that simple. You have a section here for your testimonials. You could change this section as you get images for guests that would have stayed at your property and willing to give you an honest testimonial of your property. So you could change these out, change your star rating based on the guest's approval, as well as you could change your contact information and so forth. Click the handle and change the contact detail as necessary, and click update. Okay, so let's take a preview of what this looks like. All right, so now we have our logo, we have some of our branding. Let's compare it to our website that we're trying to complete. We'll notice that we have this search availability calendar section below here. Let's look at how we could do this. We would want to add an extension from MotorPress to make this very easy for us. If you go to the MotorPress website and below plugins, and if you choose hotel booking and you scroll down, you'll notice there's a free plugin for hotel booking and Elementor integration. Let's select that. This makes it very easy for us to insert elements from the hotel booking plugin using the Elementor page builder. Let's choose download, and let's go back to our website. We're going to choose plugins, add new, upload plugin, and we're going to just drag that into the window. And let's choose install now and activate. So let's go back to the front end with Elementor. Now, if I click that icon and I scroll down in the window, you'll notice it's not showing anything for MotorPress. But now that we've installed it, let me just refresh the window. Now, if I scroll down in the menu, you'll notice a new section that says MotorPress Hotel Booking. So here are some widgets that we can now use in our window. But before we do so, we're going to insert a new section just below our hero section. So we're going to click the plus button, and then let's choose the plus button to add a new section. We're going to choose one column. Let's just click the icon to list all of the widgets. We're going to come down to the WordPress section, and we'll see here we have a search availability form. Let's drag it into the window. Now, as you drag it in, it now has a vertical layout. Now, this does not look as clean as we would like. We want it to be this horizontal layout that we have. For us to display it in horizontal, we will need to come to parameters, and next to style, we'll change it to horizontal form. So now we have that there. We could add some more style into our background. Let's just click the edit section button. We could come to styles, and for background, we could choose our branding color. We could add a little padding to the top and bottom. So let's change the background color so that we create some contrast there, so it's not the exact same color. So let's change that slightly. So I'm going to choose a different color so that we have a little bit of contrast between the search button as well. And so now we have our search availability calendar. It's in a horizontal window. We could edit this slightly as well. So for example, if we're looking at the responsiveness of the search availability calendar, if we choose the responsive mode and choose, let's say, for example, a tablet, now it's positioned like that, but let's assume that we stretch the button and we choose multiple lines. We'll notice that the search button comes below and this now expands. You could also choose the size of the field width. So for example, if we choose a different size, it will push it to another window. But you could play around with that to make sense for you. I'm just going to put it back to auto. I'm going to leave it stretched for tablet, and I'm going to put that back to desktop. I'm going to update that. Now let's go and update the rooms. So if I refresh this just to see how that looks, again, you could choose the color that suits your branding or so. I just want to give you an idea of how you could get that done. You can now see the search availability calendar. You could select your dates, your adults, children, and search. But let's look at the rooms. Right now, these rooms are not dynamically linked to our property types that we created. We want to replace these with the accommodation types that we created. So let's choose Edit with Elementor. And we're going to select this section here. And we want to replace this with one of those WordPress Elementor widgets. So we're going to delete this. And let's scroll down. In the WordPress hotel booking section, you're going to look for single accommodation. And let's drag it into the window. We now need to find the ID relevant to our accommodation type. So let's go to our backend. And let's go to accommodation and accommodation type. We're going to start with single room. If you hover your mouse over single room, you'll see it says ID. And in my case, it's saying here 412. So I'm going to copy that, go back to Elementor, and where we have ID, I'm going to paste that ID there. So now it pastes that into the window. You can decide if you want to display the gallery information to the top, but I'm going to turn off the gallery and I'm just going to leave the featured image. I'm going to leave all the default settings. I have the book button. If they want to view this, you could also turn on the view button, but I don't like the fact how they're both so close to each other, so I'm going to leave off the view button. And now that we've done so, we could do the same. We'll just copy this. Let me remove all of the extra elements and I could paste it here. So I just need to get the ID. So I'm going to go back, come to double room. I see double room ID is 414. I could select it and just change that. And I'll do the same for the other two. Okay, I can now delete this last section since I'm only using 4 accommodations. So I now have my 4 dynamic accommodation listed. I can now update this page. You could change your heading as necessary. This button is no longer necessary here because you could book directly by just simply clicking on any of the accommodation, view the details, and click book now. So let's update that and we can preview it. So if I click on the picture or on the name, It will take me to the details for that accommodation where I could see more details, the different gallery, all of the availability calendar, the rate, and I could enter my check availability date, select it, and check availability. So if I choose my dates, for example, and choose the amount of adults and say check availability, it will tell me that, hey, the single room can't fit the number of guests. It recommends to me that you probably should choose the family suite because I selected 4 adults and the single suite only accommodates 1 adult. So it's that dynamic and smart, and I could reserve this directly, or I could scroll through and see some of the other accommodation that might fit my needs. So that's working great. The amenities page, it's about the same thing. You could decide how you want to edit these, edit it in the same manner, link it to the pages that make sense for you. If you don't have a detailed description of the amenity, then you could probably take off the read more button because you don't want to link it to a page that don't necessarily exist. So you could do the same thing, just choose edit with Elementor. This get booking here is where we could now link that to the rooms page. So if I come to the link section and I start typing room, so that comes up and I could choose the rooms page. So this button will link to the list of rooms. I can do the same thing here for the luxury rooms where it says read more. I could also link this read more button to the rooms page. Now, if we don't have an additional page for the spa and swimming pool and so on, then we could remove these read more buttons, since it might just be listing the details about these if you don't have an additional page. You have a nice gallery below here. You could always change the images as necessary. And same thing, if you don't have an additional page for the other perks, then you could always, again, take out the read more section. Change your contact number. You could change your photo. Just click in the box. You could delete the number and enter your number. Once you're finished, you could just update it. And then finally, we could look at the contact page. Let's go to contact. And to change the contact information, just click edit with Elementor. You could simply click in the area and change the details. I could copy that from the contact footer area. So you can see it's that simple. Change your reception hours, your contact detail. The contact form is not showing because you need to select the default form. So it's using WP Forms, the free version. So just click the drop down arrow and we could choose contact form. All right, so it's going to be asking you for the default settings. You could always edit that in the WP form settings. So we'll just update this. And let's preview our website. We go home. So we have our search availability calendar on the front end of our page. We could select our check-in dates and our checkout dates, select the number of adults and choose search. It takes you to a search result page. We can select the accommodation that suits our needs. Let's say it's the double room. We can choose to view details or book it. Let's say we want to see more details. It will then take you just to this page. It has the information that was listed there. And we could again choose search availability and we can reserve the room. We will then enter our information. You could select your room only or with breakfast. Let's assume I select with breakfast. I can then decide if I want to select a massage. I could select a massage for just one guest or both, and how many times for my accommodation stay I want to select it. Let's say I want to choose for both, just for one stay, and I want to take advantage of the free babysitting. So that means I have a child with me. So as I scroll down, if I have a coupon code, I could enter it here. You'll notice my rate automatically adjusts and it's showing that there I would accept a 50% deposit that I selected. When I scroll down now, so you will select the relevant payment method of your choice and choose book now once you've entered the information. Just before we exit, we're just going to link this button to our search availability page. We can get that page. It was one of the pages that was created for us. Let's go to the dashboard. And we could see there is a search availability page that was created. Let me open it. So this is just a page that allows you to just go and just enter your information that you're searching for. So let's use this page as the link for the reservation. So I'm going to copy this link, go to Customize, select the Reservations button, and in the link, I'm going to paste that address, and let's publish it. So let's exit. We can go back to the front end. If I click on the reservation button, it now takes me to the search availability page that I could enter my information. So we've done a lot. So we've already configured our rooms and appearance, and we now need to look at just optimizing and tools that I use. There's going to be other videos for you to take this to the next step, but what you're at least able to see on a very small budget, less than 50 US for the year, you can create a dynamic hotel booking website. Let's look at some of these optimization tools that I would recommend. The next thing you want to do is at least install a security plugin. There's a free one. The free one I've used is WordFence, and it is used on millions of websites. You'll notice it has over 4 million active downloads. If you're making some money from your booking website, I would recommend a paid security plugin. There's a paid version of WordFence, but I personally use Malcare. I think it's very efficient. The best problems is not having a problem when it comes to security. I've not had any breaches or security issues with websites that I'm using Malcare on. The next tool that I would recommend is a backup plugin. Updraft is one of the plugins that I've used. There's a free version as well and a paid version. The third thing is a search engine optimization plugin. I would recommend RankMath. It also has a free version with most of the things you'll need in the free version. They also have a paid version if you want to take your search engine optimization to another level. What about language? Are you in a particular location that you get guests from different parts of the country that speak a different language? Then you may want to consider getting a multi-language plugin, which is WPML. This is a paid solution, but it's very efficient. It also has integration for some automatic translation if you don't have someone to manually translate the language for you. So it has a very affordable tool for you to have that translation done. And one of the last tools that I've used recently is having a chatbot along with a live chat that will allow you to answer certain frequently asked questions that your guests may want to use. I did a recent video on this, going step by step how to configure a free chatbot on your website, which is Tidio. I'm going to put a link in the description to this video as well, and you will see one in the end card. So if you follow me to the end, you've actually created your hotel booking website on a budget. More than likely you've spent less than 50 US to get that done. Obviously, depending on your needs, you may need to use a premium version from one of the plugins that I would have recommended. If you're looking to connect with me and ask more questions that you have, then there's a private group that I'm going to put in the description that you could join, and we could help each other or others that are looking for hospitality tools and tips. All the tools that I've mentioned in this video, you're going to get links to the description of this video. If you haven't done so already, now is a good time to select like, click the subscription button, and click that notification bell. So when I post more videos like this, you'll be notified. Let me know if there's something that I missed. Is there a tool that you think you need to use or you can't fit this in a budget? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.